Now, if you find that you've neglected your tank a little bit, maybe you're not doing what you know you need to do, and then you end up getting a whole bunch of algae. First thing you want to do is make sure your filters are nice and clean. You want to clean them very regularly, and even consider upsizing your filters, because if your filters look like that and you're not cleaning them regularly, there is an amount of compensation by getting bigger filters. So upsizing your filters can help. There are also various bacteria products on the market, and it's all about bacteria versus algae. Because if your fish are producing waste and your bacteria is functioning, the algae should be somewhat minimal. If your bacteria is not able to compete, then you get the algae. So making sure there's good surface agitation, so therefore good oxygen, is a really important factor. And making sure that your plants are able to monopolize the nutrients. So that means organic carbon products really help, especially with blackbeard algae, and making sure that you've got the right iron levels or fertilizer. So checking your iron level would be another thing. Keeping your water changes up would be really important. So if you do go through a phase where you're not looking after your tank properly, and I mean, these things happen, then you've really got to spend a little bit of time and get on top of it. So whether that means you're doing a quarter water change every day till you get your levels down, but it's a matter of testing and water changing and keeping your filters clean, making sure you're feeding good quality food and not overfeeding until you get your tank back on track. So making sure you've got good cleaning products helps as well. And one thing that you really don't want to be without if you want a planted aquarium is a good set of tongs. Because what these tongs will do is allow you to get in there and actually pull the algae out. So you can open your tongs up, and then you can literally just grab the algae like that. You can pull the algae out and throw it away, because the algae will be full of nutrients that the bacteria has not been able to break down. So if you can actually throw that algae out, then you're removing the nutrients and get you back on track to allow your good bacteria to break down the waste instead of the algae winning the war. So you just grab the algae, pull the algae out, and Bob's your uncle. Now, if you're a beginner, or if you're too busy or too lazy to look after your tank properly, mud substrates like this are a very bad idea. They're very high nutrient. They require a lot more maintenance. If you're going to have a very well maintained, very professional aquarium with plants, the mud substrates are the best. So I would not recommend these mud substrates for somebody that doesn't look after their tank properly, or for somebody that doesn't know how to look after their tank properly, because all your mud substrates are far, far, far higher maintenance if not looked after. If you understand it properly and you look after it properly, they are better. Now, what I'm doing at the moment is just going through and pulling out a bit of algae with my tongs, which is something I highly recommend. That little fake plant was there for baby fish to hide in. So I'll just secure that back where it was. So my little baby live bearers have got a chance to hide in this little nursery. Now, with these mud substrates, anything you do, if you watch this, this dirt just goes out, clogs up the filters and so forth. So if you have a very good plant cover, you have no reason to do this. But if you don't have a good plant cover and you don't have good access for your roots, then your fish will dig and so forth. You'll get this fine silt all through the tank. So having a good cover of plants is really advisable. Otherwise, this sort of situation occurs and it clogs up your filter and is nobody's friend. So even these little cories, they go through and dig in the bottom, and they're just releasing this silt into the water all the time, clogging up the filters all the time and making me need cleaning them. So what I really need to do with this tank, and I keep meaning to do it, but every time I come home from the shop I forget, I've got to get a lot more plant to plant all along the bottom, because with these mud substrates you really want to have a good plant cover. If you're not going to have a good plant cover and you're just going to have a bunch of plants in the tank like this, you really should just have gravel. Gravel is so much better. This substrate that I've got is way too high in nutrient, and it really requires a very well planted aquarium in order for you to get the most out of the substrate. So once again, I keep meaning to bring home more plants, but I'm pretty good at forgetting about it when I leave. But anyway, so think twice about mud substrate. On the bottom of these filters comes filter sponges, and the way you clean a filter sponge is just by grabbing a bit of water out of the aquarium. Then you just want to wring out the filter sponge in the water from the aquarium like this. Then you want to throw that water away and repeat until it's clean. Now if your filters are just too dirty, you've either got to be cleaning them far more regularly or consider getting bigger filters. But what you don't want to do is go and wash this out with tap water, because the tap water is going to kill off the good bacteria. So when servicing an aquarium, little and often is far better than doing a big massive clean. What you're far better off doing is doing a bit of a service, improving the water quality a bit, then the next day, whenever you're available, give it a bit more of a service. It's far less disruptive of the fish, and you're really reducing various risks. So if you've been a bit lazy, you don't want to compensate by one big massive clean, because that can stress your fish and cause you all sorts of problems. What you're better off doing is a series of smaller cleans until you get your tank back on track. And if you are getting in a service guy, it is important to have realistic expectations, because you can't neglect your aquarium for a couple of months and then expect that Mr. Fish Guy is going to come in and just instantly make the tank clean again and make it perfect. Because an aquarium is all about stabilizing an ecosystem, and stabilizing an ecosystem takes time. So you just got to be a bit patient. And if you know you haven't been looking after your tank properly, then you're getting someone to service it, let him know you understand that, or her, and tell her to come back weekly or whatever sort of works until the tank is back on track. But you don't want to go expecting that you've neglected the tank for a while and then it just magically is going to get better in one go. You want to just be a little bit patient and slowly improve the tank until it's back to the state that you wish it to be in.